日は日印次世代パートナーシップの推進、次なる10年の10兆円の規模の実現に向けてと題したセミナーへご参加いただきまして、誠にありがとうございます。To begin today's event, may I invite Mr. R. Madhusudan, Deputy Chief of Mission, Embassy of India, Tokyo, to make inaugural remarks. はじめに、駐日インド大使館首席講師 R. マドゥスーダンより開会挨拶をいただきます。
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Rohit Lalal, Co-Chairman, India-Japan Business Consultative Committee, and other members of the delegation from FICCI who are here with us today. Mr. Yoji Ando, Senior Director of the JETRO. Other friends from industry, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to everyone and welcome to the Embassy of India. I'm happy to welcome you all to this important seminar today that focuses on a key target that was set and agreed between India and Japan at the annual Leaders Summit in August last year. And that is achieving 10 trillion yen in private investment from Japan to India in the next decade. Friends, we are currently in an unstable international environment. No country is shielded from the adverse impacts of conflicts that are raging around the world. All prior assumptions and premises have been called into question. At this stage, it is useful to take stock at where our respective economies stand and how we can work together to use the complementarities between our two countries to enhance mutual benefit. Today, India continues to be the fastest growing major economy in the world. As per latest estimates from the IMF, our growth this fiscal year is expected to be around 7.3%. Even considering supply chain shocks, we are still poised to remain the fastest growing major economy. The government and the country as a whole is advancing towards what we call the Viksit Bharat mission, which is an aspiration to become a developed country by 2047, which essentially entails a corresponding rise in the quality of life for our people. What underpins this development and what gives us the confidence to pursue such an ambition are a multitude of factors. For one, India is one of the youngest nations in the world with a median age of around 29. Around 1.5 million engineers graduate from our universities every year. A middle class that is more than the size of the United States and growing every year is driving consumption in the country. Digitization and financialization have acted as catalysts, fueling this consumption. Government reforms, manufacturing shifts, and infrastructure investments are boosting productivity, while growing domestic savings and capital markets provide liquidity. There are over 1 billion internet users in India. Nearly 700 million digital transactions happen every single day. Digital lending is growing at a fast rate, and essentially the country is filled with dynamism. All these have been possible due to consistent economic reforms that have substantially boosted India's ease of doing business and have enabled massive improvements in infrastructure. Be it reforms in the goods and services tax, the insolvency and bankruptcy code, changes in the labor codes, production-linked incentives worth over $40 billion to fire up our manufacturing sector, over 500 billion rupees of outlay in research and development, and so on and so forth. What we see in India today is a vibrant democracy being the beacon of economic growth and stability in a challenging global environment. Friends, India and Japan share a special strategic and global partnership that is rooted in centuries of civilizational connect, mutual respect, and shared values. Japan has been a steadfast friend and partner in India's journey of development, industrialization, and sustainable growth. Nearly 1,500 Japanese companies operate in India. These are all success stories in themselves, demonstrating how long term global capital can thrive when anchored in India's scale, skill, talent, and increasingly predictable policy environment. Year after year, surveys by the JBIC and the JETRO place India at the very top among those considered as attractive destinations for Japanese companies. There are 11 Japanese industrial townships in India which have driven the success of Japanese industries in India. In 2022, India and Japan set an ambitious target of 5 trillion yen of investments from Japan to India to be achieved in 5 years, that is 2027. While it seemed a huge target at that time when we set the target, what happened was we ended up achieving this goal in just 3 years. So today, when we speak of 10 trillion yen in investments, I, for one, will not be surprised if the actual flow far exceeds our target. The possible sectors where we are open for Japanese investments are endless. They can be semiconductors, logistics, infrastructure, mobility, defense and security, aerospace, clean energy, critical minerals, batteries, shipbuilding, and so on. We are also keen to welcome small and medium enterprises from Japan to India, and we can assure them that they will find a welcoming environment in our country. We also welcome and support Japanese industries who would like to set up manufacturing hubs in India and use India as their base to expand and export to third countries such as Africa. Dear friends, what the events of the last few years have shown us is the importance of diversification and the critical imperative of stable, reliable, and trusted supply chains. The strong political foundation that exists between Japan and India provides that stability and reliability. Our Prime Minister once quipped, Japan's technology and India's talent are a winning combination. Indeed, we have a huge opportunity before us, and I hope our friends from both the Japanese and Indian industries could grab the same. I'm confident that through this visit by the FICCI to Japan, new partnerships, joint ventures, and alliances between Indian and Japanese companies will emerge, which will drive our economic partnership forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Next, I would like to request Mr. Yuji Ando, Senior Director for Global Strategy, Southwest Asia, JETRO, to make remarks. 続きまして、JETRO 海外地域戦略主幹南西アジア、安藤祐一様よりご挨拶をいただきます。
Thank you very much, Kajitani-san. Mr. Ahmad Sudan, Deputy Chief of Mission of Embassy of India in Tokyo, and Mr. Rohit Rehan-san, and all the panelists, moderators, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning, namaskar, and ohayo gozaimasu. Thank you very much for inviting me to this important occasion with friends from FICCI. And yesterday, I was also a member of the IJ BCC and JIBCC meetings, and I was so impressed by the discussions, especially Japan and India's relations is beyond the traditional bilateral cooperation. We have now entered a new phase of co-creation between two countries. So I believe that I strongly feel that the key word of bilateral relations for the next decade is co-creations. Ladies and gentlemen, last year marked the 10th anniversary of Special Strategic and Global Partnership. And as you know, this year marks the 10th anniversary of the Free and Open Indo-Pacific Vision, FOIP, proposed by a former late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Our mutual trust continues to deepen, and our relationship is stronger than ever. As you know, India has grown to become the world's fourth largest economy, maintaining a solid growth rate of around 7%, despite the geopolitical risks and global supply chain disruptions in these days. And as Madhu-san kindly mentioned that by following these, drastic economic growth, JETRO survey is showing that the 81.5% of Japanese companies in India are going to expand their business operations in India for next 2 to 3 years. So this is the highest business momentum for Japanese companies in India, not only India, in Asia and Pacific region-wise. That is number one business destinations for Japanese companies. So by following that, I believe that we can expand the economic and business relationship through the co-creation among the private sectors. I think we have several areas of co-creations. Let me briefly highlight the 4 important areas for co-creation. So number 1 is advanced technology, semiconductors, electronics, green hydrogen, renewable energies are central fields. Major projects such as Tata's semiconductor factories in Assam are already ongoing, and sectors including hydrogen, aerospace, and AI technologies are showing growth opportunities for both countries. And number 2 is economic security initiatives. India is a vast and dynamic market, while Japan has manufacturing technology, equipment, and management skills. By combining these strengths with India's production capabilities, we can build resilient supply chains and enhance economic security for both countries in these difficult situations. And number 3 is people-to-people exchange, as Madhu-san mentions. During the Honorable Prime Minister's visit last year in Japan, both premiers agreed to promote the movement of 5 lakh over 5 years, including 50,000 highly skilled Indian professionals to Japan. So this is one of the most important areas, especially Japanese rural areas are suffering from the human resource shortage. So if we, both sides can get together, I think we can realize strong economies between 2 countries. And the last but not least, we can position India as an export hub for the world. At the 9th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, so-called TICAD 9, last year, Japan announced the Economic Region Initiative of Indian Ocean Africa. By bringing together Japan's technology and investment with India's human resources and geographic advantage, India can become an export hub to the Middle East, Africa, and even EU and Japan. And at the end of the day, we can contribute to the vision of making India and making India for the world. Ladies and gentlemen, next year, 2027, will be a significant milestone for our partnership. So number 1 is 75th anniversary of Japan-India diplomatic relations. Number 2 is 100 years of anniversary of FICCI. And the last one is 50th anniversary of the JIBCC and IJBCC, as mentioned yesterday's So this historic moment, we are very much looking forward to expanding our circle of co-creation together with you all. So thank you very much. Dhanyabad. ありがとうございました。
安藤様、ありがとうございました。Next, I would like to request Mr. Rohit Lelam, Co-Chairman, India-Japan Business Corporation Committee, and Chairman and Managing Director, Bharat Sheet Limited, to make remarks. 続きまして、日印経済委員会共同議長、ロヒット・レーラン様よりご挨拶をいただきます。
Thank you, Madam. Mr. Madhusudan, Deputy Chief, Indian Mission, Mr. Ando, Senior Director of Global Strategy, Southwest Asia Planning, JETRO, Mr. Rudra Pandey, Senior Partner, Amarchand Mangaldas, Mr. Manish Sharma, Chair, FICCI Electronic and White Good Manufacturing, Mr. Sugino, Secretary General, Japanese Chamber of Commerce and Industry in India, Dr. Subhi Chaturvedi, SVP and Chief Corporate Officer and Public Policy Officer in Mumbai, CV Subbarao, Managing Director, Sunmare Shipping Limited, Mr. Vikram Handa, Co-Chair, FICCI Green Mobility Committee and Managing Director, Epson Co-Chair, respected delegates from India and Japan, Konnichiwa and Namaste. It is a great honor and privilege to address the distinguished gathering at the Embassy in Tokyo. I sincerely thank the Embassy for hosting this important interaction, which reflects the strength, maturity of the India-Japan Special Strategic Partnership. I would like to once again mention to all of you that FICCI has brought in one of the largest ever business delegation to Japan, comprising of nearly 50 members, industrial leader representing key sectors including automobiles, auto component, electronic, engineering, startups, shipbuilding, IT, among others. This reflects the seriousness with which the Indian industries view as a long strategic partner. Our visit is aligned with the shared vision of two governments, trusted supply chains, enhance industrial resilience, expand high technology collaboration, and jointly develop capabilities in critical emerging sectors. We are here to build durable partnership based on trust, innovation, and long-term cooperation. Japanese investment has been instrumental in India's industrial growth story. With cumulative FDI approximately 43 billion since 2000, Japan remains one of India's most important investors. However, bilateral trade around $25 billion in 24-25 does not reflect full potential of our economic complementarity. There is a clear opportunity to more effective leverage SEPA framework and expand trade and investment flows. India continues to demonstrate economic resilience, sustained growth, supported by structural reforms, policy predictability, large-scale infrastructure expansion, digital public infrastructure, manufacturing incentives, and rapidly expanding consumer and industrial base. As two major Indo-Pacific economies, our strengths are highly complementary. Japan's technological leadership and manufacturing excellence, combined with India's scale of talent innovation, ecosystem, and expanding market. There are immense opportunities for collaboration in semiconductor, electronic, advanced manufacturing, clean energy and hydrogen, smart mobility, defense production, biotechnology, digital technology, fintech, and resilient supply chain. By working together and strengthening the industrial partnership, we can achieve the 10 trillion investment targets and unlock the new phase of India-Japan economic cooperation. We were with Miyamoto-san before this. He mentioned, and I also agree with him, that the small and medium scale in Japan, which are 99% of their whole industrial capital, along with the local banks, they can come together. Local banks can come together with these small and medium scale companies to invest in India. At the end, I would like to highlight 2027, which will mark several historic milestones. The 50th edition of India-Japan Business Cooperation Committee, 75th year of India-Japan diplomatic relation, and 100 years of FICCI establishment. We look forward for welcoming you for the next year. Thank you very much. Arigato gozaimashita.
Thank you, sir, for your remarks. Next, I would like to request Mr. Rudra Pandey, Senior Partner, Shardul Amarchand Margaritas and Corporation, and Co-Chair, FICCI National Committee on Ease of Doing Business, Member, FICCI Committee on Japan, to make presentation on key highlights of the India-Japan report prepared by FICCI and SAM. 続きまして、インド商工会議所連盟 FICCI ビジネス環境の改善に関する全国委員会共同議長ルドラ・クマール・パンデー様よりご講演をいただきます。
皆さん、こんにちは。Can you go to the next slide, please? Next slide. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. I think in the context of India and Japan, and sorry for some repetition from my colleagues, part of the delegation, but for the benefit of everyone, why India? As Madhusudan San has already confirmed that India is the fastest growing economy. As per the JBIC and JETRO research, India is the priority country for the Japanese investments. But why it is important? Because of the growth that it is going to share with the whole of the world. If you look at this graph, overall, this is the IMF research and also the data that is showing that India is going to grow at close to 7.5%. If you look at the global growth is only between 3.3 to 3.5%. If I look at the developed economies, the growth is close to 1.5%, but will go down to 1.3% in the next 5 years term. So where is the growth coming from? India. India is going to give that growth for the whole of the world. The growth is not because the geopolitical situation itself. It is the policy of the government of India. It is the entire initiative by the government of India. It is the capital expenditure the government of India is doing that is leading to this growth. Also, as all of you know, that recently there was a tariff imposition on India by US. The government of India then reformed GST, which is goods and services tax. That itself is going to add about 0.7% of the GDP. Moving to the next slide, please. I'm very happy to share that despite the estimation of IMF and other international agencies, India growth in the last 3 quarters has been exceptional. We have grown more than 8%. As you know that we are a 4 trillion economy, but we're going to be a trillion economy in the next 5 years or 4 years term. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, in terms of also talking about the FDI, India received about $80 billion last year as an FDI, and this year we're going to cross $100 billion. Largely, if I look at the next slide, please. The countries which are investing into India is Singapore, Mauritius, US, Netherlands, and Japan. Japan is the fifth largest investor, but if I take out the tax haven countries, Japan will be the second largest or third largest if I include some of the investment being done by Japanese company from Singapore. If you go to the next slide, the sectors which are more prominent to receive the FDI is non-conventional energy, construction, automobile industry, trading, computer software and hardware, and services. The services sector include financial and banking, insurance, and other NBFC activity. And in the recent past, the banks like SMBC, Mizo Bank, MUFJ, they have been investing a lot into non-bank and banking activity in India. If I go to the next slide, it is important to highlight that it is not that India is dependent upon only on FDI. Given the global opportunity and the geopolitical situation, India is going global. India is global in the context of 4 or 5 factors. Indian company need access to technology. Indian company need to have access to the global platform. They need to be part of the global supply chain. They need to avail the benefit of the global opportunity. If you look at in the context of the foreign direct investment by Indian company to overseas, they are looking multiple segments, largely to manufacturing, but as well as to the services sector. But a couple of factors that are important to highlight is that the valuation for Indian company to get into this M&A outside India, including Japan, is multiple. If I look at the P multiple, Japan will be between 8 to 11 times. If I look at European countries, it will be between 12 to 14 or 15 times. If they compare with India, it will be close to 20 to 40 times, depending upon which sector you are getting in. So it is highly lucrative for the Indian companies to go global and acquire these assets. So we invested close to $30 billion last year as an ODI. And this year we are going to exceed about 35 to 40 billion dollars as part of the investment from India to the globe. If you move to the next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, one of the factors also to highlight, this slide also refers to that Indian companies are cash rich as of now. The capital markets in India are quite active, generating and borrowing money in India quite easy. And if I need to give you one data which is very important, that the leveraging ratio of Indian company in India is lowest in the world, which is basically what does mean? It means that the borrowing ratio to the equity capital is the lowest in the world. And it is also important to highlight on that factor that the GDP that we are referring to, about 8% or 7.15%, if I as per the research, if India need to literally leverage well, India leveraging ratio is close to 50% to the GDP. If I look at developed economies such as US or Japan or other European countries, their leveraging ratio to GDP is about 200 times, as compared to India is only 50 times. So sorry, 50% to 200%. So and there is a regulatory reform, financial reform is going to be done this year. It is announced in the recent budget. The leveraging ratio need to go up. That itself will add at least 1 to 2% of the GDP. So therefore, given that the overall the cash rich Indian company leveraging ratio is quite low, they are going global, they're acquiring assets. If I need to move to the next slide in terms of the trade, nothing goes beyond, and it is important to also highlight about the trade dynamics India is as of now holding. So if I give you some data, India exported close to $800 billion of products last year. This year, despite the disruption of supply chain and the geopolitical situation, we're supposed to exceed $1 trillion, but we are going to cross about $900 billion. $720 billion we have already achieved. And the products that we are exporting outside India is engineering goods, petroleum products, electronic goods, drugs and pharmaceuticals, gems and jewelry, organic and inorganic chemicals, etc. If I need to also give you some data, which is very important in terms of the next slide, please. The diversification of supply chain. As of now, you might be aware, all of you, that India has signed several FTA, including with EU, including with AFTA countries, including with US recently. The blueprint of US and EU yet to be out. But this is going to help the entire export from India to these countries at a very significant way. And therefore, it is important that the global companies need to be part of the Indian supply chain. But in the meanwhile, India, when the US tariff was imposed, India diversified its supply chain to Spain, including China, UAE, and Bangladesh. So there was a kind of a diversification that helped the entire supply chain to be in a streamlined way. If I need to move to next slide, please. I need to share. I talked about the ODI, but it is important that India is also investing into Japan, and there has been some research report which suggests that there is an information gap about the opportunities and regulatory framework in Japan for the Indian company. But despite that, now Indian company, given the traction and the technology access, and also the P multiple, the valuation that Indian company is getting, Indian companies are now acquiring assets and including listed company. Just to give you a few names, I don't know if you know, there's a glasses company in Japan called Owndays. It is acquired by Lenskart in India. You have several Motherson Sumi, which is one of the largest the component manufacturers, auto component manufacturers in India. They have acquired 4 companies in Japan. 3 of them is from Honda. Recently, they also acquired, and they are in the process of doing an open offer, a listed company acquisition of a subsidiary of Honda called Yutaka. What is helping Indian companies? It is an acquisition of a Japanese company, but given the supply chain is all across the globe, they are acquiring at the same time companies and operation into 7 or 8 different countries. So this is a very interesting area where Indian companies are coming and acquiring multiple Japanese company and assets in Japan. If I need to move to the next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Can you move to next slide? Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next. 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 Yeah, just be there. So given that limitation of time, I'm not going to talk about the opportunities. The slides will be shared with all the participants here. But let me tell you, I briefly touched upon the key policy agenda of the government, which is helping the India to achieve what market cap and also the growth that it is achieving, which is very important. That in terms of the deficit, fiscal deficit, the government is focusing a lot on the fiscal deficit, and it is going to go down from 4.8% to 4.5%, 4.4%. But what is important, as I highlighted, public capital expending in strategic infrastructure. So if you look at, the government is spending a lot of money in creating right infrastructure. In that context, the logistics cost, just to give you an example, has gone down from 14% to now to close to 8%, which is, if I need to do a comparable, India is most competitive in that context. If I look at the tax reform, while still the tax reform is a lot need to be done, but I can tell you that in terms of the export and import, and also the corporate taxes in India has been reformed in a very significant way, and India is far more competitive in that sense. India is also spending a lot of capex into digital infrastructure, upgrading across urban and rural areas as well. Now, Jalan San already talked about, a lot of work is happening in skill development. Like, we have cheap labor, but now skilling was the important aspect, the last couple of years, India and also the corporates in India spending and doing a lot of work into skill development. So this is all helping in terms of the growth that we have. And the bottom, if you look at the blue data, is all capex that India is doing. So just to conclude, go to the next slide, please, and the next slide, please. Yeah, so basically, in terms of conclusion, I must say that India remains the country which is not only an alternate to China, but as a strategic or a geopolitical situation, as a trusted partner for Japanese company, and therefore it is important for Japanese company to come forward in a significant way, and now mainly the SMEs to come to India, and to facilitate the SME, the Indian government is also setting up several industrial parks which will work on a plug and play model and going to help a lot in terms of initial operation. Key sectors are electronics, semiconductors, automotive, pharmaceuticals, renewable energy. In terms of the competitive base, as I said, because of the scheme that the government of India has launched, including PLI, which is called Production Incentive Linked Scheme, also the Gati Shakti logistics policy, industrial parks. There are several schemes that has been launched, which is helping the entire development in India. And the last is, of course, the entire the bilateral engagement between India and Japan is definitely helping a lot, both ways, for Indian companies to come to Japan or also Japanese company to invest in India. Thank you so much. Arigato gozaimashita.
Thank you, sir, for your presentation. Now we will have a panel discussion on advancing Japan-India cooperation on talent development and business innovation. ここで人材育成とビジネス革新における日印協力の推進についてのパネルディスカッションとなります。May I invite Mr. Manish Sharma, Chair, FICCI Electronics and White Goods Manufacturing Committee, Dr. Subi Chaturvedi, SVP, Chief Corporate Affairs and Public Policy Officer in MOBI, Mr. C.V. Subba Rao, Managing Director, Sanmar Shipping Limited, and Mr. Kenji Sugino, Secretary General, Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry in India, on the stage. Now I would like to request Mr. Manish Sharma to moderate this session.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the Embassy of India in Tokyo for this opportunity and hosting all of us, the entire delegation. The week gone by has been extremely productive, and this cannot come at a better time when India is at the cusp of a potential unlock. The reason I say that, I think much has been already said, including the speeches which are made today. But for the fact that the per capita income of India is closing in a threshold which puts discretionary money in the pockets of people, and there has been innumerous instances of the past that when that threshold crosses $3,000 or $3,500 per capita, the consumption of the country gets into a stage which unlocks this potential, and the growth for next coming decades will be unprecedented. So I think this delegation also is happening at a very opportune moment. The topic which is given for us as a panel is of utmost importance. And just to quickly set the precedent, I think Mr. Relan's speech also mentioned, and Rudra also touched upon the fact that the accumulation of understanding of technology, the manufacturing processes, the talent which resides in Japan, including the softer skills of discipline, I think is a huge opportunity for India to learn. And on the other hand, in our country, the sheer entrepreneurial energy, the demographic dividend of the young country we are, the average age of the country being less than 30 years poses India and Japan as natural partners for many reasons. So I think it's a very appropriate topic for the panel. And to begin with, I think I should begin with you because you have been an ambassador, Sugino-san, yourselves, and I believe you are more Indian than anybody else. So I think you have seen the softer side of skills. Of course, growing up in Japan quite appropriately, and of course, living in India, you have seen it up close. Without any doubt, I think at the principal level, this understanding between both the countries and its leadership of a count which is 500,000 people in next few years' time to be exchanged, and 50,000 being a very specific target of talent mobility from India to Japan across various sectors. Let us begin by understanding what can be the challenges in this whole process, because culturally Indians have grown in a very different environment, and not only the hard skills which matter or the domain expertise which matter. I think Indians possess very specific domain skills, but if you can reflect in particular the softer part of the skills, can there be any challenges in this whole process for both the countries to meet this numeric target which they have set between themselves?
Thank you very much. My name is Kenji Sugino, Secretary General of JCCII, Japan Chamber of Commerce in India, based in Delhi. I'm working here since 2007, and I want to share with you from Japanese community in India's thought. So I made a slide. So may I use this?
Of course, please.
So next slide, please. This is a membership trend and forecast for JCCII. You can see since 2022, after the COVID, every year we are getting 50 new companies. And especially this year, we got 121 new companies, including a semiconductor 40 company, and automotive and motorcycle 40 company, and even from Japan also. They are expecting to invest to the India, 40 companies. And next slide, and actually what happening this is, I can share you, Maruti Suzuki product capability is at 2 million as of now. This made by last 40 years, but they will make 4 million product capacity next 5 years. So that's why automobile and motorcycle companies invest to come to India, rush. And next slide, please. This is industry-wise breakdown. This is the left side is since 2022. Right side is since after the 22nd April. You can see the education and human resource service sectors. We have more than 30 companies. They are connecting to Indian highly developed IT person to Japanese company, even the technical worker also. So this movement is happening after the 22nd. Next slide, please. And next is semiconductors. We made a semiconductor committee since 2024 April. Now we have 170 members working on these sectors. And next slide, please. We are requesting Indian government and also Gujarat, also Dorera, also facility of the customs clearance procedures and enhancement of the living environment, social infrastructures, improving the road infrastructure, and even the electric supply also. If this is a mandatory, especially for the power semiconductors. If we can do this, highly skilled people will come to the India. Next slide, please. This is the last slide. This is a movement between India and Japan students. You can see the Nepal. Nepal is a 150 populations compared to India, but they are providing a student to Japan 40 times more. Understand? Okay. And you can see the right side, Japanese students come to India only 339 only, very limited. Actually, we can say it's almost zero. So through this, we can say we have a only possibility, and we have a lot of capability for this. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Subramanian, for this very informative presentation. If I can come to you, Dr. Chaturvedi, uh, from InMobi's point of view, I think you are driving wonderful innovation, and I was happy to see your presentation yesterday. The topic of our panel is talent mobility, including business innovation. So, what synergies do you see? I think when it comes to IT and a lot of work which you do at your company, I think a lot of innovation continues to happen. So, what synergies do you see between two countries? And in this whole process, when it comes to talent, how can we leverage on the understanding which exists between the two countries? Yeah, sure.
Manish, I really want to thank you for that very, very thought-provoking question. And I feel so deeply honored. Namaste and konnichiwa, everyone. This is our embassy. It's a matter of great pride to be here. Like you mentioned, I come from InMobi. A lot of you have been part of the discussion. For introduction, InMobi is India's first unicorn. So we became a unicorn in 2011, and we have many, many firsts to our credit. We're also the first company that SoftBank invested in India. Our second unicorn became a unicorn in just 2 years. It's a company that has achieved over $1 billion in valuation. So before us, the phones look like this. Each time we press the power button, you see content being served across 18 categories on the lock screen without unlocking the phone. So every time you do this, you get new content, science and technology. In Japan, we have a very, very long standing relationship. We are now available on Sharp phones and devices. We have an office in Tokyo. And the question at the heart of it is, how did InMobi do this? Because there are a lot of companies from India as well as from Japan who want to build this conversation. When it comes to talent, I want to start by sharing that InMobi was born out of 4 engineers from IIT Kanpur, from Lucknow. I come from Lucknow. The city, in terms of population, if we were a country, we'd be the 5th largest country in the world. My compliments to Shri Rohit Trilanji, Madhusudanji, to make this discussion possible, because over the course of the last 4 days, what we have done is we've visited Fukuoka, we visited the factories, we've seen the best in technology, we've seen the best in transformation. In effect, what is it that we're seeking as a group? We are in a very, very difficult time globally in terms of geopolitical strife. How do we make sure that we prepare the next generation for uncertainty? When it comes to talent, the World Economic Forum talks about 5 critical skill sets of the future which prepare you for the workforce of the future. So no matter what sector you come from, if you're looking at critical thinking, you're looking at analysis, you're looking at interpersonal skill sets, you're looking at leadership, you will be able to develop skill sets which are sector agnostic. What does the government do? What does academia do? What does civil society do? What does private sector do? What do inter bodies, which are like FICCI, which are chambers, what can they do? They can build bridges. And at the heart of my remarks, Manish, to respond to your specific question, we propose today from the embassy a HASHI framework. HASHI in Japanese means bridge. So the H here stands for human capital and early skill development that can build talent pipelines from school for the industry. When we seek to hire people in our teams, we ask them if they know how to ask the right question. Can they do first principles thinking? Can they solve for the second order effect? Don't play checkers, play chess. Can you predict the 16 next moves? When the A in HASHI stands for AI enabled learning, ensuring continuous and adaptive skill development, the combined displacement that will happen with AI is the combined GDP of India and China put together. AI is no longer a choice. It is here to disrupt. It is here to impact every single sector. So if you're looking at talent of the future, we need to start incorporating modules of artificial intelligence from our school level. Then we look at S, S stands for skills, language, and cultural preparedness. I'm a student of anthropology. I studied cultures, civilizations. Why do certain cultures survive, the others don't? It's very, very important to be conscious of the nuances. So along with IQ, we need to make sure that we're focusing on emotional intelligence, EQ, and CQ, which stands for cultural intelligence. Then we need to look at H, which is diaspora hubs. So integrated support. Somebody mentioned in Fukuoka, if we look at Indians celebrating our festivals, celebrating our culture, celebrating our joy, that's where I think our embassy and our mission can truly place leadership, where you build people to people connect. So we also lead the US India CU Forum, and we're specifically focusing on entrepreneurship, small and medium enterprises. There are two things which come out very, very importantly. We need to make sure you're as strong as the weakest link in the chain, or as weak as the unweak link in the chain. So you have to ensure cybersecurity, hygiene, readiness, and great bookkeeping. So transparency, integrity, ingenuity. We yesterday talked about co-creation, collaboration, and making sure that co-curation also happens together. And the last I stands for innovation and industry collaboration. So in our thinking and our thought process, if we're solving for the people, if we're solving for the planet, if we're solving for sustainability, and that's where the two traditions of India and Japan marry beautifully. We are spiritual brothers and sisters. Buddhism traveled from India. We're a celebration of culture, of mindfulness, and of ensuring that every step is as meaningful as the journey that we take. Thank you once again for giving me the opportunity. Arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you, Dr. Chaturvedi, for the insightful comments. If I can come to you, Mr. Subbarao, shipping, I think, continues to unlock opportunities. So when you look at Japan, and specifically to your trip this time, what are the key highlights and what are the key takeaways? And if you do a quick reflection of your time, again, in the recent past and this trip, what do you think are the challenges for us to unlock the opportunities between the two countries?
Thank you, Manish. Okay, my name is Subbarao. I'm with Sanmar Group. The group runs chemicals, engineering, and shipping. And in shipping, we have a fleet of 16 ships with 12 tankers and 4 gas carriers. And to come to your question, yes, Manish, what we have been in traveling to Japan, especially in the last 5-6 years. In the sense, Japan has been one of the greatest shipbuilding nations, especially in the 80s. Eventually, South Korea and then China came in with a bit of a cost advantage. But the skills in Japan are still valuable, and we continue to focus on Japan in terms of, say, if you need to hire, if you need to build ships here, or if you need to explore an opportunity for ship repairs. But I leave the statistics out. Bear with me. I'll probably go to the underpinning arguments of traits of the two nations, how it works. What can India bring to the table? The Indian youth is creative. It has language skills. By what I mean by language skills is, in India, English is one of the languages that we do speak. Then there is a mother tongue. And invariably, an Indian child speaks a third language. So what India can do is to pick up the local nuances and the cultures of that language. India brings family and community values. Even today, many families in India, 3 generations live under one roof: the grandparent, the parent, and the child. Even though this is sort of moving away, but it still remains as a core Indian value, which I think India can sort of move forward and see if they can imbibe that spirit in the international sector. There is a willingness to learn today. As you see that the Indian student has a great willingness to learn. Now, these are some of the traits that India can bring to the table. What can Japan bring to the table? I have personal experiences on this. Japan focuses on performance and execution, which is unmatchable. There is a great dignity of labor and a sense of ownership. The schooling values of the Japanese children from the kindergarten level is something the world needs to understand, appreciate, and perhaps copy. So there's a great sense of humility and humbleness in a Japanese person. By humility, I mean not to think less of oneself, but to think of oneself less. That means to think of the others more. But these are the traits if India and Japan can put together and bring to the table. What we have is a confluence of a culture which will be driven towards performance. I like the concept of 10 trillion or 20 trillion, whatever you may say, but the objective of duty, as we call in India karma, the objective of duty need not necessarily be in monetary terms. The objective of duty is to learn and try and go through the process without attachment. Now, this is what a typical Japanese and the Indian collaboration can actually do. If I were to imagine that I am nothing, that I'm blessed with a certain amount of intelligence, and there are resources provided, and if that can be utilized without thinking of myself, some of the greatest works in the world can be done through me, not by me. You're alienating the individual from the process and the objective. I think this is something that we can focus on in the decades ahead. I'll just stop here. I'll leave it with Manishji to see if the discussion needs any further elaboration.
No, this can go as long as possible. I mean, selfless, reflections that you made, I think they should be central to anybody's fundamental thought process of what one wants to give to the world. Thank you so much. Sugeno-san, I'll take quick remarks from everyone. I know we are pressed on time, but quick remarks from you to begin with. We have to really address the core issues if they exist today on the ground. The real fact, while you mentioned it, it's very encouraging to see that the membership is increasing. But the real fact is that there are only about 1,600 odd Japanese companies operating in India, comparative to 30,000 or more in China. And we have to walk this path rather at a faster speed. What is, in your understanding, hindering this process? And I want to stay specific to say the softer skills, the fundamental issues which will give confidence to Japanese investors, especially the small and medium enterprises. What can India or people like us or the government can do to accelerate this whole process?
Actually, in India, we have 1,500 companies existing. In Vietnam, we have 3,000. So compare this. What is different is MSME enterprises. And this is a big difference. And in India, we have automobile, motorcycles, supply chains. But we don't have electrics and semiconductor, of course, this is required. But for MSME companies, what is the challenge is that in India, we have a lot of tax issues. What regulation is not clear, regulations many times changes also. Infrastructure, of course, I'm working in India since 2007. It's improving. Make for India is enough. But now we have to the next step, make India for the world. For that, this infrastructure is not enough. Even the electric supply, water also, this is not enough. So this, if we go to the next step in India, maybe so many MSE company will join to the Indias. It's easy.
Thank you very much. Dr. Chaturvedi, specific to the industry where you come from, what are those top opportunities which you see existing between India and Japan? And any specific one idea coming to your mind again to accelerate unlocking the opportunities and the growth?
Manish, thank you so much for asking that question. I think startups in India are at the cutting edge of technology disruption when it comes to future emerging technologies like AI. We've just created the world's largest AI agentic shopping commerce agent, and that's based on trust and collaboration. The fact that in manufacturing we have trusted green corridors, we need to be able to create the same frameworks for digital services, for innovation. And the one thing that we should definitely look at, that's been our learning from our Fukuoka experience, Japan, the products can do with a lot of diversity. When it comes to India, we need capital. And this is where both governments as well as FICCI has a huge role to play. If we can look at like a matchmaking process where we say these are the new ideas and these are the innovations that we have, when it comes to whether local banks or institutional funding like SoftBank, like MUFG, like Nomura Capital, there are so many options where we are hungry for capital, we are hungry for scale. And one of the best things that we can do is make sure that we're able to create soft skills, soft power, whether it's manga, whether it is storytelling from our end. It's the best format in which you can build this connect between people. So if we could look at not just a fund of funds, but a vetting of the companies so that this long process of building trust, getting to know each other can be expedited, I think we're looking at a massive scale up of ideas. Thank you once again.
Quite wonderful. I think FICCI has a lot of homework of what you mentioned. Those are important, appropriate points to be taken care of. And I think what we have understood is that if we have to really unlock this trust and confidence, which I think at a macro level for sure exists between both the countries, we need to have consistency in our engagements, including the points which you made. If I can finally come to you, Mr. Subba Rao, I think you made some very, very fundamental points, and I've worked for Panasonic for more than half of my career, and I'm very sure that the philosophy of its founder, Konosuke Matsushita, will continue to inspire me throughout my life. And it's been almost 70 years. I quite often wonder that in the 30s, how could one imagine that there should be a very clear basic business philosophy for the organization? And it was very quite similar to what you mentioned, which cuts across at Panasonic, that we should have a very clear idea, why do we exist? And you mentioned something to be like selfless attitude in individuals. Easier said than done. It's a hyper competitive environment. And I think the time is not only changing, but the rate of change is also changing. What do you think people should do to balance between keeping a selfless attitude where giving should be the purpose, yet remain competitive in this hyper changing environment?
Yeah, thank you. I'll just go back to a story many years ago. I'm basically a marine engineer. I've been at sea, and we did a kind of a ship repair in Mitsui Tamano. And it so happened that that was a very large scale repair, and the workers had to cut open a full section, refit back, and then, it's welded. And the welding actually failed the inspection. And therefore, there was a sit-down meeting with the production team, and they said, okay, the surveyor who was attending, he's given a few areas, you can do this. And this discussion went on for 3-4 hours. And then finally, the Japanese gentleman who was the head of production, he said, okay, we do again. What he meant was he's going to cut up on the entire section again. He's not going to just touch it up, do the entire section. The surveyor said, no, it's just a minor. He said, no, we do again, and we'll meet the schedule. In fact, then I realized he was not talking about himself. He's not talking about his increments or his commission or his team. He's talking about ownership. This is what I think is what is work ethic in Japan. Now, this is something in our collaboration, in shipbuilding and ship repair, we are looking to explore. This is something we can bring to India very, very forcefully. And I believe, I have a feeling that maybe we have to sort of give a couple of decades and start a new syllabi at a kindergarten level. Because it's very difficult to change my culture or even a culture, a generation or down below. So this is something something that we have to catch on. Eventually, competition will be there. I think it is nature, it's innate nature For example, I'm in competition with the other two panelists, whether I dislike it or not. It's way life goes on. So I think it's going to happen anyway. But I think if one can focus on the real big picture, like Manishi rightly said, it's not all that simple. But I think the end result, you will realize by giving the greatest pleasure in any manner that you choose. So I think the propagation that India is trying to do, and the kind of the spirit, the kind of a message that says Vasudhaiva Kutumbam, that is one earth, one family. And if you can bring in the Japanese work ethic and technology into it, you can create magic. You can have a romance on the industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the audience is as much benefited as I am hearing the diverse set of insights and comments from all of you. I'm extremely thankful to all of you. And as I said, this discussion can go on, but in the interest of time, I'll conclude this session. Before I do that, I wanted to give confidence to our friends from Japan that India is more than ready to have you with us in this whole growth story, which is going to get unlocked, as I said, for many reasons. And India has demonstrated that partnerships which are built with a purpose live forever. And while I think a lot of times in this building and elsewhere in Japan, the story of Maruti Suzuki would have been spoken. And yesterday I was hearing Mr. Relan mention that he is a product of this whole story of Maruti Suzuki. And I believe that the models in this whole ecosystem of Maruti Suzuki and what Toyota and Honda and Daikin and Panasonic, Mitsubishi, Hitachi, General, companies like these do in the country is to stitch partnerships for a purpose. And ecosystem development and mutual growth automatically follows. And therefore, I would like to urge and invite the small and medium enterprises of Japan, taking learnings from what automotive sector has done to enter India into electronics, into IT, into software platforms, AI-related developments, telecom, of course, power electronics. There are sectors which are unlocking in this country, not limited to manufacturing, into services, into distribution. And I think one of the key is to stitch partnerships in this whole process. And people are waiting for you in India. And the policy ecosystem has been extremely supportive. Over last 11 years, India has not only improved through its policies the cost of doing business, but it has also improved significantly the ease of doing business. And Sugunyo-san, you rightly mentioned, I think the challenges continue to exist while they are improving, the infrastructure is improving, the ease of doing business is improving, but there is never the perfect time to look at this huge opportunity called India. So I will urge and invite all the partners from Japan to come to India and experience it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the proactive discussion. Thank you. Next, I would like to request Mr. Vikram Handa, Co-Chair, FICCI Green Mobility Committee, to make closing remarks. 最後に、インド商工会議所連盟 FICCI グリーンモビリティ委員会共同議長、ビクラム・ハンダ様より閉会ご挨拶をいただきます。
Hey, good afternoon. As we come to the close of this very engaging session, I would like to begin by thanking the Embassy of India in Tokyo for organizing this important roadshow and bringing together such a distinguished group of leaders from India and Japan. As we said earlier, this is the largest FICCI delegation from India that has come to interact with the Japanese businesses over here. Today's discussion reminded us of something very powerful. India and Japan are not just strategic partners, we are natural partners for the future. But what excites me the most is not what we have already achieved, it's really what lies ahead. We have discussed various opportunities, lots of success in the last commitment of 10 trillion yen, and I see a lot of promise going ahead for the next 10 trillion yen, and I'm sure we will beat that in the targets that have been established. The next phase of the India-Japan partnership will be given by three major opportunities: manufacturing, sustainability, and talent. Advanced manufacturing and resilient supply chains. India is rapidly emerging as a global manufacturing hub through initiatives like Make in India and the PLI. By working together, India and Japan can build stronger supply chains in areas such as electronics, semiconductors, mobility technologies, and advanced materials. The green transition and sustainable technologies. Both our countries share a strong commitment to addressing climate change and building a more sustainable future. This opens enormous opportunities for collaboration in green mobility, battery technologies, hydrogen energy, circular economy solutions, and low carbon industrial solutions. India offers scale and rapid adoption, while Japan brings cutting edge technology and engineering excellence. Third, and I think the most important takeaway from our discussions is talent. India has one of the youngest and fastest growing talent pools in the world, particularly in engineering, digital technology, and entrepreneurship. Japan, on the other hand, has deep technological capabilities, research leadership, and a culture of excellence. Strengthening exchanges in skills, startups, research, and digital innovation will unlock tremendous value for both economies. In many ways, the India Japan partnership is uniquely complementary. When these strengths come together, the opportunities are extraordinary. And perhaps most importantly, this partnership is built on something deeper than economics. It's built on trust, shared values, and long term commitment. Let me conclude by saying this: the future of the India Japan relationship will not only be shaped by governments, but by business leaders, innovators, researchers, and young entrepreneurs from both countries working together. If we continue the spirit of collaboration we saw today, I'm confident that the next decade will not only achieve the 10 trillion partnership, but will define a new era of cooperation between our two great nations. Thank you once again to the Embassy of India, all the distinguished speakers, and everyone present today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will now conclude the seminar on celebrating India-Japan Next Generation Partnership, realizing the 10 trillion yen partnership for the next decade today. 以上をもちまして、本日のイベント、日印次世代パートナーシップの推進、次なる10年の10兆円規模の連携実現に向けてと題したセミナーを終了とさせていただきます。皆様ご参加いただきありがとうございました。Thank you. We will have a networking session with Life